everything New Orleans Pelicans from a fan's perspective. 27 points, 5 rebounds. Welcome to Pelicans Flock Report, where I give you everything New Orleans Pelicans from a fan's perspective. I'm your host, D. Broussard. The Pelicans are at a crossroads. What happens next? Now, obviously, this season is pretty much in the can. Another mediocre losing season for the Pelicans. And I feel like as fans, we're starting to grow frustrated. We're starting to get tired of the mediocrity. We're starting to get tired of the losing. I think we've been tired of the losing and the mediocrity. So what's next for the Pelicans going forward? Because as a fan, I definitely want to see the Pelicans make the postseason, continue to get better, show signs of just becoming a better franchise. I've been a fan of this franchise for over 10 years, and I want to see my team in the playoffs competing at a high level. I don't want to see them losing all the time. Like, it's just at times it's kind of like embarrassing to be a Pelicans fan. I'm gonna be honest, like, cause people like, man, you like the Pelicans? What? Like, like a laughing stock. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still gonna ride or die with my Pels, man. Um, I just want to see us win and continue to grow. And you know, I feel like we're in a good position. Definitely with Troy Weaver, Joe Dumars. I feel Joe is gonna turn this thing around. I've said it before. And one of those things and one of those decisions that we're gonna have to figure out and have to make is James Borrego. We definitely gonna have to figure out what is gonna happen to James Borrego. Now, James Borrego still has that interim tag on his name currently, and there's been a lot of mixed feelings about James Borrego. Some people feel like he did a good job. Some people feel like he didn't do a good job. I myself was a huge advocate of James Borrego until the last, I would say, 10 games in the season, where it was just kind of like we just kept losing, kept losing, kept losing. And I'm just kind of like, man, like normally when a coach take over a team, you know, they're not going to start winning immediately, but I have seen certain situations in the NBA. I've been watching the NBA since a kid, and I've seen certain situations where a new coach takes over a team and they completely become a totally different team. But that hasn't really been the case with James Borrego taking over the team. Like, we're still losing, we're still not closing out in the fourth quarter. We're still doing a lot of things that we struggled with in the beginning of the season with Willie Green. So I don't really know if it's because of the roster. I don't know if it's because we don't have the right guys. I really don't know. But I feel like we were supposed to see some type of improvement. And I feel like in those last 10 games, we really didn't see that much improvement from the team under the leadership of James Borrego. So I think that was kind of the turning point for me to where I was just kind of like, man, I don't know if James Borrego is the guy. But who's to say with another season, a better roster, if that would make a difference? You know, we really don't know. But that's a huge decision that we're going to have to make, because we definitely have to figure out who's going to be our leader in the locker room. Is it going to be James Borrego, or we're going to go on a coaching search? And if we're going on a coaching search, who are we going to get? Because Mike Malone name was mentioned, but obviously Mike Malone uh, accepted the job at UNC, North Carolina. He's going back to college basketball. I never thought that Mike Malone was going to be the guy, just because if you look at the NBA today, you see more teams starting to go with more younger coaches. I think they feel like the older coaches are unable to reach this current locker room of the NBA because the NBA is getting a lot younger. So you have to have more younger coaches to be able to get through to these players and relate to these players. So I feel like every time I'm looking on the sideline watching the NBA game, you see young coaches. You look at Brooklyn, you look at Utah, you look at JJ um, Redick with the Lakers. Like you see younger coaches now on the sideline, and I've heard Kevin Ali's name mentioned as a possible candidate because Troy Weaver and Kevin Ali have a strong relationship, but I don't really know much about Kevin Ali and his NBA experience. I know he was the coach at UConn. He ended up getting fired or dismissed or whatever happened, and then Dan Hurley took over the job. And so I haven't really heard much about Kevin Ali. Now, I mean, there are also other guys that are on NBA benches currently. I mean, you have Brian Shaw, you have Sam Cassell, Jared Stackhouse. I mean, you got a lot of other guys who are on NBA benches as assistant coaches, and they just haven't had a head coaching opportunity yet. And a lot of these guys are well respected around the league as well. So I don't know. I mean, if we go on a coaching search, I don't know who are we gonna get. That's the big question. I really don't know. So we'll see what happens with that situation. Also, the Zion Williamson situation. We have to figure out what are we gonna do about Zion Williamson. Now, obviously, we've had some terrible seasons with Zion Williamson not being available, not being in shape. We've gone through a lot with Zion Williamson, but I am a huge Zion Williamson fan. I like Zion a lot, but I feel like the team doesn't really play through Zion as much as they should. I feel like it's times where Zion is going and he's, looking unstoppable, and then we kind of go away from Zion and stop playing through Zion. So I really don't know if keeping Zion is a good idea. As much as I like the guy, um, I really feel like maybe trading him. As I, made a video about that as well. You can go check it out on the channel. You know, Zion Williamson trading him might be the best move for the Pelicans. It really might. Because it can give us draft capital. It can bring in younger talent. I mean, it's a lot of things that can, come with us trading a Zion Williamson. Would I like to see him traded? No, I like Zion a lot, but as a fan, I have to look at the overall team and I have to say I want this team to be better. I'm tired of this team losing and having mediocre seasons. So I feel like at this point, whatever it is that we need to do to become a better basketball team and find an identity and be able to compete in the Western Conference, I feel like it has to be done at this point. No matter, you know, how I feel about a guy. Also, another guy, Herb Jones. There's some question marks around Herb Jones. And I was one of the guys that also said that trading Herb Jones might be an option because as much as I love Herb Jones on the defensive end, Herb Jones doesn't really bring a whole lot offensively. And we've seen that, especially in the last couple games. Herb was not really a factor on offense. And I feel like when you look at teams like an OKC or a San Antonio Spurs, Detroit Pistons, like these teams have a lot of depth, and these teams can go up to a 10-man rotation, and everybody that they bring off that bench can knock down that 3-point shot. And that's the difference between those teams and us. Like we have guys like a Herb Jones who are very good defensively, but offensively, like they're a non-factor. And it's like in this league today, you have to have offense. You have to have 3-point shooting if you're gonna be an effective basketball team in the NBA in this current time. So I feel like We have to make a decision on Herb Jones. I know we signed him to extension, but we may be able to trade Herb, get some draft capital as well, or add another offensive weapon that can help us out because we definitely need it. We definitely do. And that's why I say adding shooting. That's another thing that we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to add shooting. Gonna have to go try to find some guys that can shoot the 3-point shot, that can come off the bench, start, whatever it may be. But we need shooting. And I feel like the Pelicans really lack shooting the basketball, especially from 3-point range this season. We have guys that can knock down the 3-point shot, like Sadiq Bey, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy, but I feel like even with those guys aren't really consistent 3-point shooters. Like Trey is a good 3-point shooter, but Trey has to be in rhythm, and it's a lot of times where Trey doesn't really perform well from behind the arc in certain games. Like we need a guy like a Luke Kennard or uh, um, um, the Robinson kid in Detroit. Like we need somebody like that, like somebody that we know if we dish that ball out to them to the 3-point line, like they're gonna knock down the 3-point shot. So we definitely have to add shooting to this basketball team if we're gonna be effective and make it to the postseason. Also, the Jordan Poole situation. Got to figure that out. I had a video on my channel. You can go check it out. It's called the Jordan Poole Experiment, in which I talked about the same thing with this Jordan Poole situation. Jordan is making a lot of money. He's gonna make 31 point something million this year, and he hasn't really played a whole lot for us. So it's kind of like we're gonna have to figure out what are we gonna do with this situation? Like, if we're gonna pay this guy that much money, then we have to find a way to either put him in the rotation, help him find his game again, like something. Like we have to figure out what are we gonna do with him because he's gonna be owed even more money next season. And if he's not producing for us, it's just like, man, we paying this guy that much money to not produce. It's like, I don't know. I don't get it. And I don't understand it. But obviously, we had high hopes for Jordan. We thought he was going to come in and do a good job. And that just wasn't the case. So I really think that the Pelicans are going to have to end up buying Jordan Poole out of his contract because I don't really think a team is gonna pick up his contract, especially with the way he performed this season. I don't think teams are gonna take that risk to pay a guy that much money that's underperforming. I just don't. But hey, that's me. Somebody may take on the contract. We'll see. But it's definitely a situation we're gonna have to figure out and we're gonna have to get out of that contract, especially if he's not gonna play and he's not gonna be much of a factor for us. So, but also when I go back to the coaching situation with James Borrego, I feel like James Borrego didn't feel like Jordan was a good fit for his rotation. But if we don't keep James Borrego and we bring in another coach that feel they can maximize Jordan Poole and make him play the way that they want him to play and shoot the way that we want him to shoot, you know, that might change things. We might just have to keep Jordan Poole. So that's why I said the coaching decision is definitely going to matter when it comes to the roster as well. So the coaching is very important. But that's it for me, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, the all new Pelicans Flock Report, where I give you everything New Orleans Pelicans from a fan's perspective. I'm your host, D. Broussard. What are we gonna do? Y'all let me know in the comments, man. We definitely have to find some shooting. Got to figure out what we gonna do with this roster. Like, I'm interested to find out what's gonna happen this offseason. And I've said it before. I trust in Joe, trust in Troy, and we got to get better. Tired of losing. Tired of being mediocrity. Like, yeah. But I'm out. See y'all later.